Good evening, this is the IS Manchester Football Social. Welcome. It is Wednesday, it is 6 o'clock, and where the hell is Sanchez? He is not trying for the Etihad, he's not gone to Old Trafford yet. Maybe a deal will break whilst we are on air. We are on air till 7 o'clock, and when I say we...
the office?
Hello, what? Sanchez, if you're in the office, come back in here and sign a deal for one of us. We just want it to be over now. I don't know how you feel. Let us know how you feel. 0345 111 7625. When I say we, I'm joined by Steve Shonyaski, representing Manchester United, and Ian Cheeseman.
All right.
For the third
every
time
day
this week.
Every day, Ian.
What's going on, Ian? Who have you got held to ransom in the office?
Quality will rise to the top.
What dirt have you got on someone here, mate?
Quality will rise to the top. That's what Ian says. What are you going to say? Today's show, we're all about games galore in the second half of the show. Sheffield games. Wednesday returns. The greatest game on sports radio.
The memory game.
The memory game.
The painful memory game.
I've forgotten that rubbish name. And I've got a new game called the Appearance Game. Oh,
do you have to remember stuff for that one?
No, you just got to guess. It's going to be brilliant. But the serious matters at hand include the Sanchez deal. And will the deal be closed today, tomorrow?
End of the show.
What about the amount of money reportedly United are going to be paying Sanchez a week? £500,000, some people are saying, is the deal. Is that too much, United fans? Are you happy that this is the way football's going? You're going to flog out the money for the best players, and is that the right thing to do? Get Sanchez for the money that is apparently being offered at the minute. And VAR last night had its first impact in the English game, as the video assistance referee gave a goal. What's
VAR?
VAR.
That's the YMCA, I think.
Not YMCA. All the fans doing that. VAR.
If you don't know, Leicester was awarded a goal via VAR. Iniacho was apparently offside, but the referee had a second look at it using video technology, determined that he wasn't offside, and then gave the goal. So what we want from you is to let us know if you agree with VAR. Is it the right thing for football? Is it a good thing? Or is it kind of ruining the game? There's that sort of tribe of people who say mistakes happen in football, let them happen. If anything, as a person who hosts a radio show like yourself, Ian, sometimes it's the mistakes that sort of drive a show the next day.
Well,
people are going to put me out with a joke.
Aren't we,
there's going to be nothing to talk about if everything is perfect. Let us know what you're thinking today. 87711. We've got an Arsenal fan coming on later because there is a new price per fan result come out. How much clubs make off their fans. Arsenal top the leaderboard, and I'll be telling you more about that later on. An Arsenal fan coming on. So expect a moan on the way. But the Sanchez deal. Steve, will speak to you first. As a United fan, it's been reported that United will sign Sanchez with a record fee, not for the actual fee of signing him.
So where we're at, because he was going to be on a free... I just want to get this clear in my mind. He was going to be going for free at the end of the season, so they've rushed to sell him out at Christmas,
to make
January,
some money for him.
To make some money. So what is that money? City offered him 20 million.
And no money has been officially, in my mind, no money has actually been put on the cards. There is a lot of people saying that United are going to offer him the player swap, which is Mkhitaryan going to Arsenal, which doesn't seem likely as he was pictured at Carrington today, although not looking very happy. But
he's not going to drive down there until he's found out he's going. Until he's found out he's working.
He's got to do the medical, though, doesn't he? You know what I mean? You've got to do the medical.
Couple of weeks to go, don't forget, before the window's shut.
There is. So what I'm saying to you, Steve, is if the money being offered, forget how much the fee is. Well, what about the money he's being offered per week? If United signed him and gave him £500,000 a week. Is that a good deal for United fans, or are United fans just up for being ridiculed when Sanchez doesn't perform to the £500,000 standard?
In reality, we all moaned about Pogba, and that just looks like a good deal now, the price of things they are. How it's accelerated this last 2 seasons is unbelievable. And that's just where it is now. 500 grand a week is just where you're going to be paying. That's what you're going to be paying. We've done it first again. We did it first with Pogba. We seem to be ahead of the threshold. So where it's going to end, I don't know. It seems like a lot to us average human beings. But then, maybe his wife has a lot of, maybe his wife wants special jewellery. My wife, she's happy with the Thomas Sabo stuff. So I don't need to work so hard.
When you hear about this, Ian, that United are going to pay a lot of money per week, what are your thoughts looking onwards as a City fan?
Just trying to buy the title, aren't they? It's just United trying to buy the title.
Just because you're having a good Leicester year, we'll see what you're like next season, mate.
They're trying to buy the title.
Yeah,
it isn't.
Obviously. You just do pay whatever you have to do. Pay over the odds for Pogba. Pay over the odds for Sanchez. Just try and outbuy everybody.
We could not say the City paid a lot over
back.
the odds for someone like Kyle Walker.
I don't think he is over the odds. He's 4 years younger than Alexis Sanchez, for example. And he's a different type of player. Yes, it would seem to be a lot. But you were talking about wages. Obviously, Kyle Walker's on less wages than the amounts that have been talked about with Sanchez. United already have the highest wage bill in the Premier League, so they're going to add to that if they do sign Sanchez. And the bit that you sort of skipped over a little bit was that Sanchez would be free next summer. City offered, if we believe what we read, £20 million to Arsenal. And then the wages are obviously separate.
Yep.
United are talking about 30 million plus Mkhitaryan, plus paying the agent, plus the higher wages. So that's a lot more money going for Sanchez than City are prepared to pay, which is why they, having shook hands on a deal, we understand that Pep and Sanchez had shook on a deal back in August, have walked away from it and said, well, if it's all about money, then you go where you want, mate.
Right, Stephen, I'll say this to you. If you were to read this, as no teams attached to it, if you were to read that two clubs were going for a player at the January transfer window, one of them has pulled back because they do not want to pay the money that this player is offering, which side would you want to be on? Would you want to be on the United side that you're on now as a United fan, or would you be on the City? You want to be on the City side who can hold their heads up high and say they've moved away from this deal because they don't think he's worth it?
Great question. Great question. Well done. That is a great question, Joe.
Because you'll always look better out of this. Because, it's terrible.
Got to think of a hard one for Ian now.
It reminds me of Tevez. Just go into whoever, pays the most, and he'll keep going and going and going until he's earned his, and then he'll end up maybe Sanchez will end up in China in 5 years' time or something like that.
You see the quotes, by the way? I know we're talking across this, but from Tevez saying he had a nice holiday in China. He was there for 7 months and it was just a nice holiday. See, that's how some players anyway, think about things like that. I wonder if that's what Sanchez is thinking.
You've mentioned in previous shows, Ian, about the way that the footballers' minds have just changed now. And are we at a point as fans of the game that can just accept that these players' loyalty is not part of the modern game?
I'm not saying there's no loyalty.
Oh, there is definitely loyalty.
But let's be under no illusions that footballers, all of them, pretty much, to some level, are mercenaries. And that is natural because, let's be honest, if Steve and I were offered 3 times the salary to go and work on another radio station, would you say, oh, no, I'm not doing that?
To your face, I would. But in the background, it'll all have been signed and I'll be off tomorrow, kind of thing. Of course. And not which footballer now, they all tweet. They want the most followers on Twitter. They want the most followers on Instagram. There's this sort of meritocracy, this rivalry of the most money, the most followers. What goes on in their minds is completely bizarre to what we watched football for 10, 12, 20 years ago, whatever it was. They do all want the most money. It seems to be the younger generation coming through.
I've met
the biggest wage, the most of the month.
I've met footballers and talked to some who have a very strong sense of loyalty, but I've also, and I'm not going to name them, no matter how much you might want me to, and I've named footballers who quite categorically said to me, when I've said to them, well, that move didn't work out for you, and the player has said to me, I'm earning twice as much money and I'm hardly playing. How is that not a good move? So there is an element of mercenary that's out there. They have relatively short careers, and even though they earn amounts of money which are just bizarre to mere mortals like us, they still want to get the most they can. And maybe that is part of human nature. And I once remember talking to a footballer as well and said a sort of philosophical question on a long car journey about if you won the lottery, would it change you? Would you be a different person? And you could almost equate, because this was a lower league player, that winning the lottery is what you do when you get £500,000 a week. Yeah. Would it change you as a person? Would your social contacts be different? Would you relate to people different? Would you trust people? And the honest answer that he gave to me is, I don't know. I'd like to think that I'd stay like I am. But when we're talking about vast amounts of money like that, how can it not change you? So me and you, Steve, and Joe can sit here and pontificate and say, but if you were actually in that position where you were being offered life-changing amounts of money to set up you and your family, how would that change you? I don't know the answer to it. I'd like to think I wouldn't change.
What motivates a player on the pitch as well? Coutinho's been praised for his behaviour, knowing that he was going to go at, the summer this Christmas, summer coming, and he's still gone out and really, really worked. But then you've got players like Ozil at Arsenal who seem to have just very little motivation until all of a sudden it seemed like there might be interest from United and other players, and all of a sudden his professionalism on the pitch ramped up.
Haven't the Arsenal fans actually said that about Sanchez this season?
Yeah, exactly.
So, he's sort of slightly down tools and he's made it very clear behind the scenes. Let's take the tribalism away, the City United thing for a minute. Sanchez has apparently made no secret of the fact he wants out of Arsenal. And he wants out of Arsenal in this window. And that's why it's come to this situation where suddenly everybody's expecting it to go through very quickly, when he could quite legitimately just sit there and see out the last 6 months of his contract. So a player, Pierre van Hooijdonk was one I remember from yesterday. He wasn't at Forest at the time, and he sort of went on strike and didn't want to play. Now, that's the extreme version, but we as observers has Ozil sort of gone on strike? Did Sanchez sort of go on strike? When players want out and want a move to happen, do they then let it be shown? Coutinho, you're right, clearly wanted to go to Barcelona. We all know that. But all credit to him, on the pitch you couldn't tell that. Some players you can, some you can't. Coutinho put, it appears, everything he had into it, presumably on a promise that perhaps in January he would get that move.
Sanchez...
Go on, sorry. You make the final point on the Sanchez.
Sanchez knows Arsenal are going to finish 6th this season and he wants out. That's another thing.
Well, let's finish up on the Sanchez thing. The latest newspaper to report on the Sanchez deal was The Telegraph. Only 20 minutes ago suggests that United will pay Sanchez a deal around £180 million, and they'll offer him £14 million a year after tax, which is a lot of money. But they're only speculations, and the Football Social will be here every day of the week to let you know if a deal breaks through. Online on Twitter as well, so follow us at XS Manchester. Now, VAR came into play yesterday it's been in play for a while, but it had its first impact in the modern game in England as Leicester was awarded a goal. Now, did you see any of it, Ian?
I didn't see the game, but I've seen...
There's a little clip.
And know what we're talking about, yeah.
So what happened is Iheanacho was scored a goal. He was the referee initially thought he was in an offside position. He went to have a look at the replay, the VAR, as you'd point out.
Arm signals to the fans.
The video referee and the referee decided that actually Iheanacho was onside and the goal should stand, and they gave it, and it worked, and VAR came into play in a good light by awarding Leicester a goal. Now, Ian, your thoughts, your opinions, is the Premier League ready for VAR?
There are a few issues that I have with it. Obviously, goal line technology, where it's black and white, no problems with that. Yeah. There seems to be, because we're only at the beginning of this, so you haven't seen as much of it in this country yet as perhaps I've observed in the Bundesliga, and there is a lot of times when you're not certain what's going on, either in the ground or even on television, because in rugby league, when the referee wants to go to the video referee, he immediately signals in the air. He makes a decision, and he signals in the air like a square for a television. So you know exactly what's happening. But in what I've observed of VAR sometimes, the game sometimes just continues on, and you hear the commentator debating whether or not they should go to VAR. You don't see any indication from the referee. A minute passes, and then suddenly they go, oh, they've gone to VAR. And you go, well, who's actually called for that? And should the managers have one challenger at half? It's all unclear. And then the other thing is, of course, that football, to me, is about the fans in the stadium first and foremost. The fans on the television find out much more clearly what is actually happening than the fans in the stadium. And again, I don't mean this in a tribal way. although you can take it that way if you want, Old Trafford doesn't have a big screen. So therefore, you can't even show the fans at Old Trafford what has happened because there is no big screen to show them. City have got one, fair enough. Tottenham have got one and all the rest of it. But surely the fans in the stadium are the ones who should be the most up to speed on what's happening. I don't like that about it.
The trouble with replays is how angry people can get. How much it can split an audience or a...
You're saying VAR is the Brexit of football.
Right, gentlemen, are you ready for a game?
Go on then.
Yeah. Drop me pen, but it's all right. It's not going to...
The appearance game.
Crafted over days.
It's the appearance game. It's very simple format. I give you 2 players, and you tell me which one has made the most appearances in the Premier League. You're going to take it in turns. You're all going to get... Oh, sorry, I've just moved the desk up by accident. You're going to get 3 each this time. I'm going to start with you, Ian. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
With the appearance game, Joe Cole or Stuart Downing? Now, the appearance number is 408. I can give you that.
I'd go with Stuart Downing, I think.
You're going to go with Stuart Downing, Ian? You are correct with Stuart Downing. This one goes over to Steve.
On you, Steve.
Come on now.
418 appearances.
Save this penalty.
Teddy Sheringham or Andy Cole?
418 appearances?
418 appearances. Teddy Sheringham or Andy Cole?
Oh, well, Teddy went going for years and years and years, so I'm going to go Cole.
Pardon?
Must be some logic.
Sheringham.
You actually answered the question correctly and then went for the other option.
Why did you go for the other option?
I thought that... whatever.
Let's move on.
Sheringham must have had the most, so I'll go for Cole. Come on.
I don't even know what he's doing. 451.
No, I thought... do you know what? Do you know what? Right, let's try that one again.
No. 451 appearances. Who made that? Was it Tim Howard or was it Shay Given?
Ooh.
Pick the wrong one.
I'm going to go with Shay Given.
You're going to go with Shay Given, and I'll tell you what. You are correct!
Brilliant. Tough for you, mate.
You enjoyed this one.
Just the physical contact in my hand was...
Steve, if we do it again, you know what you're doing, yeah?
Yeah, I know what I'm doing, yeah.
Are you sure?
Absolutely sure, yeah. Pick one of them old players again. And then a dead young one.
479 appearances.
This guy's been around a lot.
Is it James Milner or is it Wayne Rooney?
Oh, Rooney.
Are you sure?
Oh, wait a minute. I'm going to go... Rooney. I'm going to go for Rooney.
Yes, you are correct.
Thank you.
2-1. Here we go for you, Ian. A tricky one here.
Right.
Wins it if you get it. 504 appearances. John Terry or Rio Ferdinand?
That's a tough one.
Ooh,
That'll do me.
Yeah. Premier League. I'd say John Terry.
You're going to go for John Terry?
Survival.
If you get this one, it is a draw, and we'll go to a tiebreaker. Okay. 508 appearances.
Oh, another old one. This one.
Jamie Carragher or Gary Neville?
Do you know what? I'm going to go with... Do you say Carragher?
Carragher or Gary Neville?
Carragher.
Oh, it's 2-2.
You always say your head. Think I'm wrong.
Which moves on to the final one.
He just played a little bit longer, didn't he?
No, this is tiebreaker now. Sudden death. Right, get it in your head. I'm going to ask you one of these. 508 appearances.
If we both get this right, it's going to go on forever, this game. You didn't realise this.
508 appearances, Frank Lampard or Steven Gerrard? Have a think, have a second. Think. Now, let's see. What are you thinking, Steve?
I'm not going to...
Don't worry, I'm not listening.
Well, I'd go Lampard.
See, so would I.
You're going to go Lampard? Yes, you are both correct. Oh, well, what I'm going to do, the last one, and if you both get it right, you both win.
Well, I need to answer this one, because that was his answer, wasn't it? He went for Lampard. So
I'll go first this time. Is that what I'm talking about?
Okay, yeah.
Ryan Giggs or Gareth Barry?
How many numbers?
The number is 648. Oh,
I know what I'm going for.
Who are you going to go for?
Ryan Giggs.
Giggsy Wigsy. It's about 42.
You're both wrong. Barry broke the record earlier this season, so tell you what.
All square, pal.
I win.
That's 1 point. That's got a point.
We want to talk now about a report that's come out by UEFA about the what clubs make per fan per game, and at the top of the list is Arsenal, sitting on £74. That's how much they make from a fan per game.
Wow.
Chelsea come in at number 2, and Real Madrid at number 3. Now for the Manchester clubs, United are above City at 6. They make £53 per fan, and City make £40 per fan, which is obviously a big difference there of £13. It'll all add up, because obviously there is 19 games in the season. You times that by 13. City fans, more fortunate.
Is Barcelona in that?
Yeah,
thing?
Barcelona
because
number
they're
7.
supported by the fans, aren't they? I'm very surprised that they would charge so much.
Well, they do charge a lot, Barcelona. If you go into a Champions League game and you're looking at buying a ticket, very or even if you go on holiday and you think,
as a tourist, you pay a lot more.
Very expensive.
Oh, okay.
We're going to speak to now a fan who his team is sitting at the top of that league. His name is Graham. Good evening, Graham.
Hi guys, how you doing?
We're doing very well. Thank you for getting in touch with us. You got in touch with us via Twitter, then we had a bit of response, and we said, right, instead of just having this little message, let's get you on air, Graham, and have a bit of debate about what you think, about this results. And first of all, the first question is, are you getting your money's worth?
It depends how you look at it, I suppose. I mean, the results of this report come as absolutely no surprise. It's been... Certainly Arsenal fans have been well aware they've been paying the highest ticket prices in world football for years and years now. And as you can probably see, there's a lot of grumblings on Twitter and the like about the lack of squad investment and things. But conversely, they've paid off a £400-odd million stadium ahead of schedule. So... if you're looking at it that way, yeah, probably are. Yeah,
I mean, there's that, and obviously the business side of things, Arsenal can hold their head up high and say they're one of the most business-minded clubs in world football, paying off that stadium bill early doors. But for a fan, it might not be about the actual stadium. For you, I suppose it's not really what happens, in the lovely surroundings. It's what happens on the pitch. And has it been as good as you've expected?
No, I mean, you're completely right there, of course. I mean, everyone wants to see the team winning every week, but that's not been the case for a few years now. So, a lot of grumblings in that respect.
Got a weird question now. While we've been chatting, I've worked out you've got 59,867 capacity. Times that by 75 is... Well, wait a minute. 4,490,000. Times that by... So what? The whole point I'm going on about is we've said they don't make the money's from telly. You don't make it from the fans. Really?
You didn't need to get the calculator out to work.
Yeah, but I wanted some numbers to back it up, and then as I got stuck in, I thought, hang on, I've got all these numbers wrong. So moving all that aside, you're not really getting your money's worth, because the money all comes from telly. So you, as a fan, you're not feel you're getting ripped off a bit there.
Well, my question, before he answers that question, which sort of is related, and don't tell me if you don't want. But how much do you pay for a season ticket?
I think the cheapest season ticket at the Emirates is 1,000. It's a shade under 1,100 quid, I think.
That's the cheapest.
It was last season for the cheapest. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the results that I've read that is the cheapest, and it goes up from there to the wherever you sat.
So Steve's point is that obviously when we've seen these charts where sort of something like 45% of it is TV money, 45% is corporate activities, and about 10% is gate receipts, and when you think that it's a relatively insignificant part of the club's income, do you not, as a supporter, think you're expecting me to pay £1,100 for this? Is that not too much?
Well, yeah, totally. It's massively too much. I mean, a couple of seasons ago, a season ticket at Bayern Munich was 89 quid.
I got another question. I'm not going to back up with numbers. Wenger in or Wenger out? This is what we really want to know.
We're not going to chart for that.
Because if I was an Arsenal fan,
a final question for you.
I would be biting skin off my nails.
Wenger in or Wenger out for you
at the moment?
I've always been Wenger in. the guy's brilliant. He's sensational, but it's definitely edging towards the time for some sort of change.
Graham, thank you very much for your call,
Graham.
mate.
Cheers, Graham.
There we go. The price of football that the teams make per fan, per game. And Steve, you're an accountant, so if anyone wants to hire Steve to do their books, where can they find you?
Let me just. I can't remember where I live.
Phone
I don't know where I live, and I can't remember my number because it's got loads of numbers in it.